Good morning, this is Vicki.
And this is Jo.
And we're the Two Natural Ladies.
And we talk about the good news we all need and ways of getting the most out of life.
We help people with practical, uplifting ways we can all make a difference.
And we're striving for better, not perfect.
And we love a good laugh. Please enjoy the show.
And you're with the Two Natural Ladies, and we have Rosie on the line. Welcome, Rosie.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Welcome. And so I've known Rosie only a short time. We met through our wonderful business networking group, and then we had a chat. And I thought what Rosie had to offer was a really unique service to families dealing with a loved one going through their ageing process and heading off into, perhaps some aged care or whatever they need. So, and Rosie's had some really great experience in that area and wanted to contribute that. So, Rosie, tell us more about what you do with your business and how did you get started?
Okay, well, I worked at CentreLink for many years, so now Services Australia. So I was there for 13 years, and most of the time that I was there, I worked with carers and their families. And so I had a really soft spot for carers. They give up a lot to look after a loved one so that they can live safely and with dignity. And so I'd assist them, obviously, by way of financial assistance and ensuring that they were linked in with support programs and that sort of thing. But I guess for me, the department were taking a bit of a different approach that involved getting people out of the offices onto MyGov, that sort of thing. And there was a lot of vulnerable people that kind of fall through the cracks, I guess. And so with that, I decided to start my own business called WePlan. So it's a financial planning business, but basically it supports people navigate the aged care system because it is incredibly complex and quite difficult to understand. So I wanted to make a difference and share my knowledge with others.
It's very true. My parents are in their 80s and I've been very fortunate that my sister-in-law works in the aged care area, and so when it came to doing their what's it called when they get assessed, their assessment, and get onto a plan and things like that, my sister-in-law was able to take that on because it just all felt, and all the forms you have to fill out and all the other stuff, it was quite very daunting. And I think if I'd been on my own, I would have definitely been getting someone like you to help. And I just think it's very difficult for people.
Yeah, no, definitely. So that's probably part of the reason why I decided to start this up, because very, very convoluted. There's a lot of forms and paperwork and things like that to fill in, but it's such an emotional time as well that, it is a very, very complex system and, it is a little bit broken, I guess, as well. So there's a lot of people that wait for home care packages. It is, I guess people are overwhelmed with that whole situation.
Mm. Yes, because it's not only are you dealing with the physical issues, it's the emotional issues and the financial issues. So it's a whole package of things that need to be considered, which often, the bigger organisations don't consider to the same extent as I'm sure you do.
Yeah, no, definitely. So it's a very personalised approach that I take with my clients.
So can you go through your process and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So basically someone will reach out, we'll have a brief sort of 5 to 10 minute chat about what's going on, and then we book in a longer session just to collect more information, just to best determine how I can help. I guess with that, aged care and social security law is really complex and technical. So there are a lot of areas that I cover with my questionnaire. So it's, income and asset position, expenses, lifestyle and medical, estate planning and other family issues too, because I guess it needs to be that comprehensive because with the aged care system, a lot of it is means tested. The information that I collect obviously is treated with sensitivity and, the utmost confidentiality. But once I'm certain I can help somebody and improve their situation, I offer them a strategy document or an advice paper, just outlining their options for either independent living and care within the home setting or residential aged care entry. So I put options in front of them and the decision is ultimately theirs. I just guide them and hold their hand through the process.
And do you tend to work with, or do you tend to start with speaking with the children of the people, the older people, or together, or how does that normally work?
Yeah, look, ideally it'd be best if I was speaking to the individual and the potential resident.
Yep.
Unfortunately, that's generally not what happens. I'll be contacted by the children or the powers of attorney because, it's just not tenable for the person themselves to reach out. Sometimes they're in respite or they're in hospital, that sort of thing. So most of the time it's with the families. Yeah.
So you tend to get involved when it's actually quite serious. It's already that it's gone, because I'm just thinking again of my parents, because they still live at home and it's still pretty active, but they do have a package. So, but you often get asked in when things are starting to get a bit critical.
Yeah, pretty much. Like when I did start the business, I had this great idea that, obviously if people planned for their future care needs, then it would solve that issue of people having, making rash decisions and, discussing these things in a hospital car park, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And the individual would have that control over where they lived and certainty about how they were going to pay for it as well. But I guess maybe it's one of those things that maybe it's hard for people to face up to that. Like, I think even when I've spoken to other people within those quieter stages of retirement about this sort of thing and about future planning, a lot of them are like, well, no, I'm not going to a place like that. The only way I'm leaving my house is in a box and that's it. So it's really difficult. But the ones where I've been able to give them, I guess, that blueprint of options available to them earlier, it puts them at the centre of that decision-making process and, gives them that sort of control over that too. So it's definitely ideal and it's a lot more rewarding doing it in that way.
So you offer that, but not many people take you up on that. So you tend to be more reactive with what you're offering.
Yeah, pretty much. But I guess even with residential aged care entry and the families that engage me to do that on their behalf, it's still very rewarding. It is an emotional journey. It is a very complex system. I take that stress away. I deliver that full service, completing paperwork for them, dealing with the facility on their behalf, dealing with, lawyers, CentreLink, conveyances if they were going to, sell the home and that sort of thing. So the clients that I've worked with kind of value that as well, like that part of my service.
You're taking a lot of headaches and angst off them, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. So, I try and make the process as smooth as possible for people and just less stressful. Because I guess even the families, like the children, they have their own lives, their own, like the jobs, families, this sort of thing. And then they also have to deal with the potential of, obviously mum or dad getting sick, getting frail, having to make that decision to, that they can no longer live independently safely, and then they're sort of forced to interact with this system that's incredibly, it's not user-friendly, put it that way.
And so how are you different from other financial advisors in this area?
Well, I guess there aren't many ex-CentreLink financial advisors around, so it really gives me that unique position in that I understand the law surrounding Social Security and aged care very well. I guess the other thing is that I'll help no matter a person's financial position or means. I'll never send anyone off without at least any resources or things like that to follow up on. I don't charge for my initial appointments as well. So I guess, I give my clients or prospective clients an hour of my time before they make the decision to work with me. And I love it when I'm able to obviously help people plan for potential later care needs earlier so that the decision and the control is theirs rather than the family making it on their behalf. And not many advisors do that.
Yeah, no, that's great. Again, I mean, you're the person that would be speaking to me and my parents because we're going through a lot of this. However, while I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, wow, we're actually very fortunate because my parents are quite forward thinking. They've already had my brother and I go through all their possessions and say who's getting what, and Dad's typed it up, and so we've got all that handled. And, people think that's crazy, but it's great because there'll be no arguments, and even my sons and my grandsons. So they've included everybody in that process, and they've also got both their names on a particular aged care facility because my dad's mobility is decreasing, although they're getting in services to help him with his mobility. So they seem to be quite forward thinking when I'm listening to you about what other people are going through.
Yeah, no, and that's really, really good to hear. So I guess one of the takeaways, if anyone's listening that might fit this category, is that it is better to plan. It gives you back that control over where you might potentially live. It's great that your parents have, their names down at places as well, just in case. Like it's a just in case. That's basically what I do. I put together the plan. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure. But
that's great.
The granny flat in the backyard, is that one of them?
Yeah, look, so I explore all that stuff. Granny flats, downsizing, retirement village living, that sort of thing. Yeah, and just make sure that, I'm dealing with any of the social security implications that might come up with that. I'm looking at the cash flow so that they can afford the care or their other expenses. Look, it is important for people sometimes to leave a legacy to their preferred beneficiaries as well. So we look at, that preserving their estate where possible. Yes. It's quite comprehensive. But it's valuable.
And it sounds like, Jo's parents sound like they're unusual, but I say that there'd probably be a lot of people in the middle that would like to be organised but don't know how, and you would be the perfect person to help guide them through that process.
Oh, yeah, for sure, because, there's a lot of times where I'm engaged by the families and, there's no power of attorney in place. They have to engage with VCAT to get administration orders and that sort of thing. There's some families where they would have no idea what their income and asset position is. We're sort of dealing with one now where she's got a sizable share portfolio, and yet we don't know when any of these shares were acquired. That makes it a little bit more difficult in these cases to try and sort everything out, because even though someone may be self-funded and not relying on a CentreLink pension, what generally happens is that when they're facing the aged care system, they will need to engage with Services Australia or with CentreLink to determine what their means-tested fees will be while in care. So, yeah, it is a lot better to be planned for this stuff. And then the other thing is as well I'm quite passionate about is advanced care planning. So, putting the decision about future health care, future, medical interventions in the hands of that person if they were unable to make that decision for themselves. A lot of them don't have that in place either, and that's, in Victoria, that's free to do. You do that with your GP.
So many benefits.
Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so anything else? Any other benefits of engaging an aged care specialist?
Look, I guess there's the financial benefit too, right? So, obviously there are a lot of loopholes, a lot of things like that with this social security and with aged care, but it is a very complex and specialist area. So there are some substantial savings that can be had by engaging a financial advisor and an accredited one to provide aged care advice. So this is the only type of advice I give because I stick to my lane and I know what I'm good at. But look, just as a quick example, I was able to assist a client of mine. So he's a Vietnam veteran. He had a very aggressive form of Parkinsonism and he wanted to stay at home. That was his wish. Everyone else was telling him, no, sorry, you're going to have to go into residential aged care. Even the Department of Veterans Affairs was basically like that too. So everyone was telling him it wasn't possible. He wanted to stick to his guns. He wanted to be at home. And so I guess through my advice and my advocacy on his behalf with the department, we were able to realise his wish, and the Department of Veterans Affairs actually agreed to fund him 24-hour care under the community nursing program. And not only that, the family saved, it was, over $1,000 a week in private care fees that they were paying on top of his level 4 package too. So, this stuff it's life-changing, and I'm privileged to, be able to share that knowledge and that tenacity with, government departments, with people that are in need.
Fantastic.
Yes.
How amazing.
Yes. Yeah. What a wonderful difference you're making. So how can people get in touch with you, Rosie?
Okay, so, my phone number, so it's my mobile number out to people, so it's 0408 457 722. Feel free to reach out, or you can find me on my website, which is weplanfinancial.com.au.
And you've picked the song Revolution. Tell us why.
Okay, so number one, I love this song, but it is about fighting for social change. I guess it's a little apt in what I do as well. So I guess that the aged care system is a little bit broken, and there's serious need for reform within this sector. So I guess what you were discussing earlier as well with, the ageist attitudes in our society, those things need to shift too.
Yes.
That I've had clients that, they've had a wealth of experience behind them. They did really, I had one that was a airplane crash investigator, I had one that was instrumental in, the development of GPS. They've all had really
accomplishments,
interesting backgrounds, and they've just got a wealth of knowledge behind them. So I think, as you said, we should really revere that older generation. And ageism is quite insidious. I catch myself being ageist sometimes as well. I'll meet with someone and I'll come home and I'll say to my husband, "Oh, they were so cute," and that inherently is ageist too. We've got to change that. So that's why I've chosen this song.
Oh,
awesome.
Look, thank you so much for your time and for what you're doing for a group of people that can often be not even looked at.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, you too. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Two Natural Ladies podcast. Visit twonaturalladies.com.au for more information. Thanks for joining us.